She thought she was just getting a ride to the hospital, but the man she almost ignored was the very doctor fighting to save her mother's life. One early morning, one missed Uber, one stranger she misjudged. What happened next would change both of their lives forever. Emma's world changed with one early morning phone call. Her mother had suffered a severe stroke. Panic took over. Her hands trembled as she rushed outside, waiting for an Uber that never arrived. Every second felt like a lifetime. Then a stranger pulled over. In her fear and desperation, she assumed he was just another driver. She had no idea that the man offering her a ride was actually the doctor fighting to save her mother's life. This is a story about grief, misunderstanding, quiet strength, and a connection formed in the most unexpected moment. Because sometimes the people we overlook are the very ones sent to change everything. Silas Morgan had lived alone on his Montana ranch for 15 years, 40 miles from the nearest town. No neighbors close enough to gossip, no one close enough to judge. Peace had cost him something, but it was a price he was willing to pay. So when a black SUV rolled down his long dirt driveway one afternoon, he knew something was about to change. Out stepped a woman who didn't belong in this rugged landscape. Designer jeans, cashmere sweater, perfect hair, and eyes he hadn't seen in 20 years. "Silas Morgan?" she asked softly. He studied her face, and then it hit him. "Bryn Holloway. We are classmates, if you remember." He remembered. She had been one of the only students in high school who treated him like a person, not a stereotype, not a threat, just Silas. Now she was standing on his ranch, 2 decades later, and she wasn't there to reminisce. Inside his modest home, over coffee, Bryn told him the truth. She was no longer just Franklin Holloway's daughter. She was CEO of a multi-billion-dollar tech company, powerful, respected, exhausted. Her husband had died 3 years earlier. She never processed the grief. She buried herself in work. Until one night, alone in her office at 3 a.m., she collapsed from a panic attack. "The doctor said if I don't slow down, I won't make it to 45, she admitted. She looked around his quiet home, the photographs of cattle, the mountains outside the window. "You built the life you said you wanted. Peace. I don't know who I am without work anymore, Silas. I need to breathe again." She wasn't asking for money. She wasn't asking for advice. She was asking for refuge. Silas should have said no, but he saw something in her eyes. Not the CEO, not the wealthy widow, the girl who once defended him when no one else would. 2 weeks, he said. The first week was a disaster. She couldn't wake up at 5 a.m. She ruined expensive jeans. She didn't know the difference between hay and feed grain, but she didn't quit. Blisters formed on her hands. Calluses replaced them. By week 2, she could mend fencing and help vaccinate calves, and for the first time in years, she slept through the night. One evening, watching the sunset, she asked him something that had lingered for 20 years. "Why were you always alone in high school?" Silas didn't sugarcoat it. "Because being friends with me came with consequences. White students who got close to me were judged, sometimes worse. It was easier to be alone." Bryn swallowed hard. "I wasn't brave enough. I kept our friendship inside school walls." He shrugged. "We were kids." But the truth settled heavy between them. They had almost been something more. Almost. Small towns notice everything. By the 3rd week, people were talking. Some were curious, some were skeptical. And one former classmate made a racist comment in the feed store. Before Silas could respond, Bryn shut it down cold. In the truck, he sighed. "I appreciate it, but you can't fight every battle." "I'm not staying silent anymore," she said. That was the difference. High school Bryn had been careful. This Bryn wasn't. Weeks turned into 6. Then came the ultimatum. Her board of directors demanded she return full-time, or step down permanently. The company was her father's legacy, her life's work. But when she looked across the pasture at Silas, she saw something different. A life built slowly, intentionally, without apology. "What if I stay?" she asked him. "You love your work," he replied. "Don't pretend this is the same as loving ranch life. You love the escape." He knew her better than she expected. So she made a different choice. She negotiated. Half her time in Seattle, half in Montana, no escape, no running, just balance. When she returned to the ranch with the deal finalized, she found him moving cattle in the south pasture. "I'm not giving up my company," she said, "and I'm not giving up this." She took a breath. "I choose both, and I choose you." Silas had spent 15 years alone because solitude was safer than rejection. But looking at her now, dirt on her boots, determination in her eyes, she wasn't a phase, she wasn't rebelling, she was choosing him. "You're worth the risk," he said, and this time, neither of them stepped back. The first year wasn't easy. There were whispers, judgment. Her father refused to accept it. Some neighbors assumed he was after her money. Some of her business associates assumed she was experimenting. But they faced it together. She invested in sustainable upgrades, with his permission. He learned to trust that she wasn't leaving. She went to therapy for her grief. He faced the fear that he didn't deserve happiness. And slowly, they built something stronger than reputation. They built partnership. 2 years after that SUV first rolled down his driveway, Silas took her to the same stretch of fence where he had first seen her. "We are classmates, if you remember," he said with a smile. "But I want to be more than that. I want to be your home." She didn't hesitate. "Yes." Their wedding blended two worlds. Tech executives stood beside ranchers in dusty boots. Different races, different classes. One love. During their first dance, she whispered, "Do you regret the 20 years we lost?" He shook his head. "We weren't ready then. We are now." She had once come to his ranch, running from burnout and grief. He had once chosen isolation over risk. Together, they chose differently. He taught her peace. She taught him trust. And somewhere between cattle fences and board meetings, they proved something simple. Sometimes love doesn't start in high school. Sometimes it starts 20 years later, when two people are finally brave enough to choose each other. Life doesn't always give us second chances, but sometimes it gives us unexpected grace in the form of a stranger. Emma thought she was just getting a ride. Instead, she found compassion in the middle of chaos, and a reminder that kindness still exists, even in our darkest hours. If this story moved you, take a moment to reflect on the strangers who may have helped you without asking for anything in return. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share your thoughts in the comments. Your support helps more stories like this reach the people who need them most. Thank you for watching.